its use and lack of regulatory framework are hindering its uptake among the farmers.
Here is that report by Opicho Chemtai.
The country recently banning over 50 harmful pesticides to protect public health and promote sustainable agriculture. Environment stakeholders are now coming out to advocate for the use of biopesticides in pest control.
It improves the environmental conditions of the area of production, the soil structure, the nutrients. And this one is on a long-term basis as compared to conventional pesticide that only provides the nutrients required by that time without improving on the soil structure.
The environment stakeholders, led by CODAID in partnership with International Center of Insect Psychology and Ecology, SIPE, are further calling for a review of the existing Pest Control Product Act.
Our overarching recommendation is coming up with a biopesticide action plan that will enable the conversation of the biopesticides, its registration, testing, and also its marketing and usage or awareness creation get out there in the community.
Let's look at it even in terms of research. What are these key activities that can be undertaken, of course, as we take advantage of the provisions that are within our regulations?
The regulatory requirements needs to be slightly adjusted. For instance, a migratory pest comes once in several years, and so we will not be able to conduct regular seasonal trials for testing and registering these products.
As well as integrated pest management.
What we need to be sure of is how we advocate against the very toxic ones and how we can embrace the use of safer pesticides.
It's very critical that the demand comes from the people or the farmers or the community, and with the need of this and the urgency to have this product.
This comes amid call for collaboration between scientists, researchers, policymakers and the farmers for real change to be realized.
We just need to agree. From this day forward, let's work together. Can I count on you to validate what I'm doing?
Opicho Chemtai for Prime Edition.
Now, a 16-year-old girl in Migori County has died after seeking an unsafe abortion. Lavenda Oduor's incident highlights a pressing crisis in the country where young girls face life-threatening risks due to limited access to safe reproductive health services.
And as Lavenda's family is seeking justice and accountability, health advocates are calling for immediate action to address systemic issues that put vulnerable girls in such perilous situations.
Here's that report.
In the quiet village of Mariwa, Migori County, a young life was tragically cut short. Lavenda had dreams of becoming a teacher. However, during the December holidays, the Form 2 students' aspirations came to a devastating halt.
Sasa kufika on Monday, ndio napata habari ya Lavenda. Asubuhi kitu kama saa 11 kuelekea saa 12 hapo. Eti mama Lavenda ako mgonjwa, anaenda kwa hospitali. Nikawauliza, Lavenda mugani?
Lavenda's story is not just a personal tragedy, but a reflection of a larger systemic crisis affecting young girls. Lavenda's mother recalls her daughter as a vibrant and ambitious girl. But beneath her cheerful demeanor, Lavenda was grappling with a secret, a 5-month pregnancy. Like many girls facing unplanned pregnancies, she felt trapped, fearing the stigma and judgment that could force her to abandon her education. In a desperate bid to keep her dreams alive, Lavenda sought an unsafe abortion at a backstreet clinic, hoping to return to school without anyone knowing. Tragically, the procedure led to excessive bleeding, and the woman who performed it vanished, leaving Lavenda in critical condition. By the time a local rider rushed her to the hospital, it was too late. Lavenda's untimely death has become a heartbreaking symbol of the growing crisis in Migori County, where unsafe abortions claim the lives of many young girls and women.
Aliwekewa na huyo mama dawa kuwekwa kwa chini. Sasa vile alienda hospitali ilitoka na mtoto, ili ilijulikana ni ya hospitali. Sasa badala ya hiyo akaanza kutapika sasa dawa ya kienyeji. Ndio ilifanya tukasema inakaa huyu mama amempea dawa mara mbili, alipeana ya hospitali akarudi akapeana ya kienyeji.
Health advocates highlight the alarming rise in maternal deaths linked to illegal abortions, particularly among teenagers. They warn that without urgent interventions, more girls like Lavender will continue to suffer in silence. Their stories eventually buried with them.
Naweza sema ni kutokana na peer pressure. Wakati Lavender alipata mimba, wazazi hakuwa naishi na wazazi. Ni yule mtoto mwenye aliishi na nyanya na wazazi wakifanya kazi ya kutafuta nje. So what happened, wakati alipata mimba, marafiki zake kama peer pressure ndio walijua ya kwamba Lavender ana mimba.
The world of governance is vast and can be alien to the ordinary man on the street.
Critical issues are going to be discussed.
From white papers to policy positions, it is easier to get lost in the labyrinth of words.
Inside Government takes you to key global metropolis where critical decisions are made and where policies are crafted.
We interview policymakers and senior government officials to highlight and enumerate government policies and projects. We take a deep dive into the underbelly of complex red tape to demystify policies across the country, across the world. Join me, O'Brien Kimani, on Inside Government, only on KBC Channel 1.
Tuandamane moja kwa moja paka kwa hilo tukio.
Haina shida chief, nitakupeleka.
Monica, wewe shughulika na nyumba yako, acha na mambo ya watu wengine.
Ukitaka kushika mwezi, lazima ufikiri kama mwezi.
Kwani Juliana kwa wapi?
Mimi nitunge chizi.
Lazima mtu ende atafute pesa ndio akuje inue kwao.
Nataka nikienda kusomea huko, unibebe na gari yako.
Nizaleta vitu zangu huku leo ndo.
In fact, hatuna muda.
Tunaishi kwa nyakati za kuhuzunisha sana.
Mama hali, mama halali.
Wakita, wengine watase.
Well, welcome back to Prime Edition. We're promised that we were hosting Dr. Norman Kiogora, who's the director at the Kenya Institute of Special Education. Thank you very much, Daktari.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, we are delighted that you honored our invitation. And earlier on, even before we came on air, we were talking about your relationship with institutions that include the World Bank. And I looked at some estimates that the World Bank was giving. They're saying that disability can affect up to 15% of any country around the world. And I was thinking that's a substantial number. So from your vantage point as a director of an important institution like Kenya Institute of Special Education, let's just start by first hearing, what is the biggest, the most significant contribution you as an organization have made towards building disability inclusion?
Thank you, Mboya, once more. I am to say that we are really riding on at the moment is the expansion of assessment. Because through assessment, you are able to identify the needs and the power, the capacity of every learner in every special school. And then the one I can also mention, very critical also, is the leading by the government at the moment in providing devices for special needs in special schools. For the first time in the last 2 years running, the government has been deliberate in making that every school receive devices for the learners. And the third one is the leading by, from top by the president himself, whereby he directed that the institute, through the Ministry of Education, builds a factory to produce devices for learners with special needs. And this factory is a one-stop shop, whereby every specialty will be provided so that we can be able to remove the barriers of special needs learners by giving the devices that they require.
Okay. You talk about education, and I'm thinking, how effective is our current education system? I know we have the CBC kind of system that is in place, but how do you, for special needs children, identify, at the primary levels, at the tertiary levels, at the, how do you identify those special kids, and proceed to nurture their talents? Because recently we had a young gifted boy here in the studio, and he built something that he didn't learn inside the classroom. All right. So beyond the assessments, how do you nurture those special need kids?
One thing very critical, and I'm happy you brought that question, Boya. I want to say, disability does not prevent from getting the best. So very critical is the assessment. First of all, when you assess, you identify the extent of disability, and then there's an intervention. So very key person who can go to support any learner is the teacher, the trainer, who has special needs skills. So when you see a learner has special skills, gifted and talented, the person who can take this particular learner to the next level is the teacher who has the skills. Many times, learners who are talented and gifted, they are not seen as special because those who are handling them don't have the expertise. So very critical, the teacher who is specialized in identifying and supporting that learner is a very key person.
Let's go back to the children who are disabled or abled differently. When we talk about inclusivity in schools, many Kenyans perhaps in their mind might think of, brick and mortar. You have infrastructure like ramps, you have toilets that can be used by the children who are disabled. But what does a truly inclusive classroom look like in terms of teaching methodologies, for example, the curricula, peer-to-peer interactions, etc., etc.?
So one critical thing that's very important for every learner, the environment must be conducive, must be accessible to that particular learner. The other thing that's very critical for that learner, he must be able to exploit his potential in totality. And this one becomes very critical in the design of the classroom. How is it designed? Is the class conducive? For example, if this learner is in a wheelchair, how do we prepare the desks to look like? If this particular learner is autistic, how do we prepare the furniture that he's using? Is it tall? How big is it? So the furniture must be friendly, accessible to the learners. In short, I'm saying the facilities. But very critical also, the teacher. That's very important because the person who is in this learner's life is the teacher on a day-to-day basis in the classroom.
What brick and mortar, what soft critical, especially when you're teaching this young?
One, I have said you must be able to identify this particular learner capacity to handle specific items. I want to give an example. For example, if a learner is doing, let's say, some carpentry job, if this learner is only to do studying alone, the teacher should be able to support that particular aspect, not the totality of being a carpenter, but that particular aspect that the teacher is able to see in that learner. The others will be able to paint, nothing else. They can paint. And then that particular aspect alone is supported by the teacher, and then that particular aspect is supported to come in totality. But without allowing this particular learner to do everything else done by any other regular person. You identify the strength, and then you support that particular strength, that particular learner.
There are some parents who are even watching this show now, and they have children who are disabled. And there's this question also of stigma. Some beliefs that we have had for a long time. Some of them believe that those children, there are curses behind them. How do you, outside your institution, do you have any awareness programs that you run, to sensitize those kind of parents and tell them that it is okay? Your children are just abled differently. Please bring them over to a classroom and let them learn.
Boya, what you're saying is true. Stigma has been an issue, but we've been deliberate also in our activities through the outreaches. We have been able to hold barazas with the leaders in Nyumbakumi, certain areas. From July to date, we have been able to visit 14 counties. Of course, with the other partners like Safaricom, so that we have to speak to the parent, to the community, that every child, irrespective of the disability, can learn. It will not be the same day, the same week, but they will learn. And they are able to do anything that can be done by another person because they are equally built, they are equally born like another child.
What are some of the challenges that you have encountered in the course of your work to empower these disabled children?
One, of course, the numbers, like assessment, the other day when we were Spokot, but the other thing that's very critical also, one of the challenges is also the parental empowerment. Some parents are not empowered to handle their children with special needs. So when the child is deaf, for example, how do you handle that particular child? That is why now we have been able to come up with the center for the parent who can be given the skills. When you get a child with special needs, you are given the support, you are counseled and enabled to handle that particular kid as per the disability that child has.
So if you were to have a sitting with the CS who's in charge of security, of education, what is the one concrete commitment you would ask the CS to make, to advance disability inclusion urgently?
What is very critical at the moment, very critical, is assessment. Because through assessment, especially now, with the new curriculum, you have to identify every learner's competencies. And then you know that particular child strength. You know how to support that particular learner. So to me, assessment is the top in terms of identifying the ability of every particular child so that they can be supported. And it must also be early. Because once you do it early, you are able to provide the support on a timely basis. When you get it late, then also you can be sure there will be challenges in the process.
So there's nothing you would put to the CS if you were to meet him in, helping you advance?
Critical is the countrywide, because KISE now is the national referral center for assessment. Kids come from all over. So setting up of regional centers, very critical. The government wants to open 10 of them. But you see, we must be able to reach out to every county. Of course, the support of every stakeholder, so that we are able to reach each and every corner of this country. So setting up of EAC centers, very critical in every part of this country. Because you see kids traveling all over the country, coming to the National Referral Center, and you are overwhelmed by the numbers.
Okay, so as we wind up, what would be your final message to the parents who are watching this show and wondering what next for them?
What I want to assure the parent that their children have no problem. What they must be able to do is to have them assessed by the expert. They are not sick, and once they are assessed, then they are able to get the support that the government gives out. Something that has not been said also about is the impact of SHA on special needs children. Right now, SHA, what it is doing, it is paying for all the expenses for physiotherapy services, for assessment, for every child with special needs, and also the medication is being fed totally by the new medical covers.
So in the counties, what would be the preferred institutions to visit for those children who want, for those parents who want their children to be taken for assessment? Is it any hospital? Is it a referral hospitals that we have in the counties?
We have hospitals that are doing this one also, but very critical also is what we are calling EAC centers, very important. And they are there.
They're called what?
They are called HEACs, Assessment Centers for Children with Special Needs. We have officers who are able to support them in those centers. Because when the child is assessed by somebody who knows how to assess, they're not even sick. They're not sick. These kids are airborne differently. And therefore, in those particular centers, the EAC centers, every learner now can be supported by being assigned by that particular assessor to identify the extent of disability. And then this assessor is one who will recommend, is this child having a medical issue or just a functional issue? And then be able to say, no, this child belongs to a school that is inclusive, or this child belongs to a special school. But we can say that every child is special to us because they have the capacity to do what any other regular child can do. They require the environment and the support.
Thank you very much. That's a good place to leave it. Every child is special, and every child has the capacity to do whatever they would want to do in life, regardless of being abled differently.
They can do.
And by the way, finally, is there a distinction between people with disability and people abled differently?
People may confuse the two of them, basically, but these children, all of them, it's the same thing they're addressing to. They use them interchangeably, but all these children, they're special.
Thank you.
And I've seen it again. Even those children who have the talent and gifted, they're also special.
I want to thank you, Dr. Norman Kiogora, Director, Kenya Institute of Special Education. Thank you so much for giving us those deep insights. Well, we're going to...
Thank you for having me here, sir.
Thank you very much. And we hope you'll come again.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll be looking at the day's business, and also we'll be looking at the day's sports. Stay with us.
Greetings in the name of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice, we
have to do it twice.
Unafanya kazi gani?
Kazi mimi sasa ndio baba yao mheshimiwa.
Baba ya nani?
Baba ya watoto yangu mheshimiwa.
Baba watoto wako wanahusika na hii kesi?
Ulijuaje ni sisi ndio tulileta hizo misumari? How did you know? Unajua nyinyi. How did you know?
Sisi alipata wewe na hiyo simu ya wizi?
Nani?
Unaweka nani kwa mdomo?
Ndiye umeambia hii Mbwenya ulikuwa umepigwa. Ukaulala. Kweli?
Mlinigonga nikaanguka chini. Sijasema nilipoteza fahamu. Kati ya mimi na huyu nani alikuipia?
Nyinyi wote.
Si nyinyi wote,
wote wawili. Mlishirikiana wawili.
Na ndio hawa.
Ngori nimefanya yenyewe mweshe yenyewe nimejutia. Na naomba tu Mbwenya yenyewe kwa upole juu ni siku yangu ya kwanza muweze kunisare.
Staying with Prime Edition, it is now time for the business news. My name is Betty Kiptum. Now, the Kenya Tea Development Agency says suppressed tea bonus has been occasioned by international market dynamics and currency exchange movements. The agency says the strengthening of the Kenya shilling against the US dollar and high operational costs have seen tea earnings reduced by between 15 and 25%. A statement by KTDA says global demand for Kenyan tea is also low, especially tea from the west of the Rift Valley.
The last 1 week, tea farmers from tea growing zones have been up in arms over low tea bonus payment by the Kenya Tea Development Agency. KTDA says the reduced payout is due to a steady Kenyan shilling that traded at an average of 129 shillings from 144 shillings the previous financial year. The tea agency also says reduced demand from global markets and increased operational costs also negatively affected earnings. The payout discrepancies between the factories in the east and west of the Rift Valley are due to the quality of the green leaf. Zone 5 farmers were among the highest paid this year, with the 5 factories disbursing 5 billion shillings.
Ngine zimepoteza hata shilingi 10 ukilinganisha bei ya mwaka huu na mwaka uliopita. Kwa hivyo ukitazama peke yako utaona kama wewe ndio umeumia peke yako, lakini bei ziliteremka kwa jumla kutoka juu mpaka factories zote. Hakuna factory ambayo haikupoteza kitu comparing to last year.
On the other hand, tea union traders in Kisii are calling for the tea agency to review the bonuses upwards after some factories received a low of 14 shillings per kilo.
Kaunti na Nyamira tuongezwe kutoka pesa hizi siongezwe. Kavura tarehe 7 mwezi wa 10 siongezwe kutoka shilingi 10 hadi shilingi 25 au 35.
To reduce the cost of production, a section of leaders from the west of the Rift Valley are calling for special power tariffs for tea producers.
Tunashiaga chai usiku na tunajachiwa peak hours. Sio pande hii walikatwa pesa zao na tukaambiwa cost of power katika tea factories zetu is one of the biggest drivers of the cost of production.
KTDA affiliated factories have been encouraged to increase production of orthodox tea to reduce incidences of unsold black CTC tea at the auctions that has brought down tea prices.
For us to be able to access new markets, then we must have new products for those new markets away from our traditional kind of production.
Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
Still on agriculture, Kenya's ambitions to become a leading exporter of dairy products risk being derailed unless farmers and animal feed manufacturers tackle the persistent problem of aflatoxin contamination. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe says contaminated animal feeds are directly undermining Kenya's export ambitions. Kagwe is calling for adoption of Aflasafe, a biological product that reduces aflatoxin levels in maize, describing it as key in unlocking export potential.
For good quality milk. So it cannot be surely that we pay for poor quality 40 shillings for poor quality milk and 40 shillings for good quality milk. Then what would be the incentive of producing good quality milk? When we feed our cows with aflatoxin-rich maize, it follows then that we are going to have aflatoxin in our milk. That is hindering our export markets because there are certain levels, there is certain quality that in the international community demands for us to be able to export our milk.
You come, we are talking. But first you come and
And regional collaboration is critical in the fight against marine pollution, such as plastic waste, oil spills, overfishing and habitat destruction. Kenya Marine and Fisheries Research Institute Chief Executive Officer, that is Paul Orina, says only by combining science and policy across borders can the region safeguard its oceans while unlocking opportunities in the blue economy, including jobs, food security, renewable energy and marine biotechnology.
Kenya has made notable strides in marine conservation, from banning single-use plastics in protected areas to restoring mangroves along the coastline and safeguarding coral reefs in the Indian Ocean. Researchers are also rolling out climate-smart practices, including cage farming systems that boost fish production while easing pressure on wild stocks.
We have advanced cutting-edge hydrodynamic and ecosystem models that are informing decisions on fisheries, water quality, and climate resilience.
However, potential in the blue economy sector still remains largely untapped, necessitating the need to strengthen the link between research and policy. As a result, experts are calling for incentives to support community-led plastic collection, stronger fisheries cooperatives, and investments in larger vessels to help Kenya tap into its exclusive economic zone.
The blue economy offers us pathways to explore marine biotechnology and strengthen resilience through nature-based solutions.
Speaking during the 13th West Indian Ocean Marine Science Association Symposium in Mombasa, the Kenya Marine and Fisheries Research Institute Chief Executive Officer Paul Orina says there are plans to incorporate the adoption of artificial intelligence, machine learning, as well as digital monitoring, aimed at ensuring the region moves from consuming innovation to producing solutions for its own future.
The marine waters, the ocean waters, it is transboundary. So if Kenya is doing this, we hope that Somalia will do the same, Tanzania will do the same, Madagascar, Seychelles, Mauritius, all these countries along the Western Indian Ocean marine waters will also adopt that so that it is cut across the Western Indian Ocean.
The symposium brought together more than 1,000 marine scientists to deliberate on marine conservation and protection. Nduta Mokami for Prime Edition.
And that story by Ndutamu Kami brings us to a close of business news this evening. Sports news is coming up with Wahome, my colleague, who is already on standby. My name is Betty Kiptum. Enjoy the rest of your viewing. Bye-bye.
It's art, it's culture, it's fun, it's attitude.
As you can see with me, I have this handkerchief. And is it really a handkerchief or is it?
My name is Kevin Kasioki. Please join me each and every Friday at 8 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
The young generation awakens on Y24, the leading youth TV station in Kenya. We treat you to current affairs, entrepreneurship, health, and human interest conversations.
It's art, it's culture.
Trends, sports, drama.
We bring you a vibe like no other, straight to your living room.
To keep you informed, inspired, entertained, and most of all, refreshed.
We are such a vibe.
Y254. Imagine.
As we commemorate the International Day for Older Persons, witness a partnership that's transforming lives across Kenya. The State Department for Social Protection and Senior Citizens Affairs in the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection brings you the story of Inua Jamii. Through innovation and compassion, millions of elderly Kenyans and persons living with disabilities now access their Inua Jamii funds in real time, right from their mobile phones.
We have done the shift is marvelous because out of the shift, the beneficiary gets a message. Immediately the cash hits the phone.
Saa hii vile waliweka kwa Safaricom ni vizuri kwa sababu ikiingia wanajua pesa yako imeingia.
Inua Jamii, empowering lives, restoring dignity, one person at a time. This Wednesday, October 1st at 6:50 p.m. on KBC Channel 1.
A very good evening to you. My name is Daniel Wahome. Welcome to Prime Edition Sports. And the Kenya Hockey Union has named the final men's and women's squads of 18 players each that will represent the country at the upcoming Africa Cup of Nations scheduled to take place in Egypt from the 11th to the 18th of October this year. The squads, which are a blend of youthful and experienced players, were selected after weeks of rigorous training at Nairobi City Park Stadium. Frederick Moki with the details.
The men's team, which features 6 experienced players, including Captain Kennedy Munialo and his assistant Ivan Ludiali, is ready to showcase a stellar performance as it aims for a podium finish after finishing 4th during the 2022 edition held in Accra, Ghana.
So we hope that when the dust settles, we've already booked an appointment with the CS and he's promised to see us, so that we can discuss the offer which is currently in the ministry.
Other players who are in the Kenyan team include goalkeeper Samuel Silong, blocker Brian Azenze, Cliff Omari and forward Alex Taiswa. The women's team has promising talents keen to make their mark on the continental stage, and they include Captain Lynn Tamunai and assistant Vivian Onyango, Grace Akumu, a defensive midfielder, Grace Bwire and forward Diana Oyando, among others.
Our target is to play in the finals and win the tournament.
Our target, one, and that's why we put in a lot of hard work, is to make the qualification. Now, in the tournament, Africa has only one slot.
The Kenyan team, which has intensified its training, will be seeking to orchestrate its performance and will be hoping to qualify for the first time for the upcoming World Cup.
Reporting for Prime Edition from City Park Grounds in Nairobi, my name is Frederick Mwoki.
And Kasarani has been approved to host the Africa Zone 3 Boxing Championship set for the 16th to the 24th of next month in Nairobi. The regional event will be making a comeback in Kenya after 20 years. This was confirmed today by the Zone 3 Secretary, Lukelo Wililo, who's also the president of the Boxing Federation of Tanzania, after inspecting the venue today, accompanied by local organizing committee members led by Boxing Federation of Kenya Secretary Dave Munohe. 12 countries have confirmed their participation, among them Tanzania, Zanzibar, Somalia, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Congo-Brazzaville, with Equatorial Guinea and Gabon expected to follow suit, according to Lukelo. Kenya will be represented by 2 teams in the championship. That is 20 men and 10 women out of the 37 who have been intensifying their training at the Mathare Police Depot, captained by Boniface Mugunde, all prepared to give a good account of themselves as hosts.
I don't see any hitch so far. Everything is well prepared.
Kenya watuombe zaidi. Mchezo usi rahisi. Zone 3 unajua ni timu iko 12. Timu ziko 12 zinakuja kuja Kenya ambayo itakuwa mchezo rahisi.
Ni kupata gold in all the major games hizi zimebaki. So ni kuwork hard kwa gym, kuweka gold mbele na kujituma ile yote yenye naweza.
I've been from the inspection and we are very satisfied with the venue that have been proposed for the coming Zone 3 Elite Men and Women's Championship Nairobi 2025.
The newly appointed Cricket Kenya Board has a main agenda of restoring the lost glory in the game of cricket as they take charge of their mandate 9 days after their appointment. In addition to restoring the game, the board also sets off on a journey to implement the resolutions passed by the Cricket Kenya Council on the 21st of September 2025.
After appointment of a 12-member board on the 21st of September this year, the team held their first official meeting today and agreed to focus on the restoration and development of the game, especially in the counties, in addition to implementing the resolutions made by the council on their day of appointment.
You have all seen how our national team is performing. Of course, no one is happy about it. But the commitment that we want to make to the Kenyan public is both the national men's team and the women's team and the are going to be put under focus, and our main agenda is to focus on played on the field, and the board will be sure that this is done.
Among the resolutions of the Cricket Kenya Council, which is the supreme body of the federation, were giving a go-ahead for the Cricket Kenya T20 League to go on as planned in November this year, to form a disciplinary committee that will be mandated with the responsibility to resolve cases in the federation, and formation of a new independent electoral panel that will oversee the elections of the federation, starting with the position of the deputy president, which remains vacant.
We are going to do all that we can under our capacities to make sure that we put our cricket, the game of the cricket, back on track. We want to bring the reform full of expertise, professionalism, that can put cricket back on track.
The board is also focused on activating ways of generating funds for the federation that will boost the growth of the game, especially at the county level, and also help in the daily running of Cricket Kenya.
And that's the sport for tonight. We'll be catching up with a lot more coming in the coming days. As you know, we're also building up to an internationals weekend. But remember, we've also got the FKF Premier League action that's going on. We'll keep you updated on that. My name is Daniel Ohome. Have a good evening. Back to Irene and Tom.
Daniel, for that sporty update. Of course, many thanks to our earlier news anchor, whose name is?
Betty Kiptum. I'm trying to go through your comments here before we wind up. And David Bundi Mukila, you're saying the interview on disability inclusion, very well handled by Tom. Very relevant information on disability needs and you're thanking the doctor for the information, wishing to have more time. Wakayana Lawrence, watching all the way from Mandera, with Fuller Brian, watching KBC from the county of Nairobi. And we could go on and on, but...
till the break is done, but we have to go. Thank you so much for watching. On behalf of the Prime Edition team in the back end, we want to thank you for choosing us as your preferred choice for your news. My name is Tom Boya. Good night from Nairobi, Kenya.
I am Nchuma Odim. Our sign language expert tonight is Caroline Njoroge. God bless you.
Bye-bye.
Tushinde.com. Cheza safe, cheza smart. Gambling is addictive, not for persons under the age of 18 years.
Dosi amelala, sukuma moja. Wewe pia ndio muoga. Ndio maana Master Demi ilikupita.
Demi haiko nipita bwana. Mimi najaza entry ticket zangu. Wewe hata unajua namba ya kusenda.
Si ni star 419 hash.
Option.
Ni Probox.
Bwana finya hiyo kitu.
Mfinye.
Finya hiyo kitu.
Mfinye.
Finya hiyo kitu.
Mfinye.
Finya bwana.